Hello, I'm live again. Okay. I'm only live again because I'm not going to pre-record. And I promised someone that I was going to touch on a certain subject, and I am not going to promise that I am going to record my podcast in enough time to get it to them. So, I am back. But this is a different topic. I don't like to do super long live, so I am just going to jump into a different topic. If you're tired of seeing me, you don't have to see me anymore. That's okay. You can scroll. But I did want to discuss divorce in the church and how to process through getting through a divorce or a separation. And then we could branch this out because there's a lot of tough things that happen inside of the church that you see that jiggle? I'm working on that. Anyways, there's a lot of tough stuff that happens inside of the church that we feel judged inside of the church. So I am going to touch on that. Hello. So this will be my second live for today. We are not judging me. We are, you're going to judge yourself. Okay. Because I told you I'm going to be extra all the days of my life. So I have had a few questions about my divorce, and I do want to say a disclaimer. My ex-husband is absolutely aware that I make videos discussing my divorce. I am always in good order, and I always discuss these things with the people that are important, so he knows. He also knows what my ministry is, and he knows that the Lord pushes me to discuss certain things. So before I ever even said that I was getting a divorce publicly, he was the first person that knew about that. So if you're curious, because sometimes people are curious, it's not your business, but just so that you're aware, he's aware. So I am divorced. I have been divorced since February legally. I was separated for a few months before then, and we did a really quick divorce, which was by design. Since I have announced that I was going through a separation and a divorce, I have had a lot of questions about how to process through a divorce, how to heal through a divorce. Sometimes people have assumed that because I was going through a divorce and I didn't seem like I was sad, that I wasn't sad. That is not the truth. So I am going to lay this out. My divorce was devastating. Not the divorce itself, like not the actual happening of the divorce. The realization that I needed to get a divorce was devastating. When you choose someone and you fall in love and you allow for yourself to be vulnerable, and you start to dream of a life with this person, and you have children with this person, and you are lining up your careers and your financial goals, and you are yoking up together, when you have to make the decision that it is over, it is devastating. I don't want anyone to think that I'm about to touch this topic and I'm about to church bash. I'm not. I am going to discuss some of the downfalls of what happens inside of the church as it relates to divorce and tough situations, because the reality is the reality. And I'm talking about the church, not the building. I'm talking about the church, the people that make up what we consider the church, the Christians, the Christ believers, the Catholics, the people that follow the Lord. Their position on divorce is not positive. Sometimes we feel like I don't even know how I want to word this, because the truth of the matter is there's a lot of times that we get church hurt. And I hate that term, but like we get hurt by the church, and the church doesn't know that they're hurting us. The church has lifted up marriage in such a high capacity that anything that looks like separation or divorce is like, no. Right? So when you're going through a divorce, or you're thinking, let's just say you have not even got to the point where you're getting a divorce. When you are thinking about divorce, when you go talk to your spiritual advisors, when you talk to your friends that are Christians, almost like 9 times out of 10, without even caring about what the issue is, they are going to tell you to stay. They're going to say, oh, you can work that out. I mean, let's go to some counseling. Let's get some prayer. You can work that out. And I'm not saying that that is not a bad thing. You always want to, you always want to do everything that you possibly can do to make the marriage work. But let me say this. There are actual biblical reasons to leave a spouse. Cheating is one of them. Cheating is one of them. Cheating is one of them. But for some reason, society believes that all men cheat, that is not a true narrative, by the way, that all men cheat, and it's just something that they have to sort through, and everyone can heal through the cheating. I'm trying to pray through this silently so that I can touch this topic, because it's such a heavy topic. I've had so many people that are going through like breakups, like serious breakups that are like almost like divorces, and people that are going through divorces and they are like devastated and they don't know what to do and they don't know where to go, and everyone around them is basically telling them that they're making a mistake. But the divorce was necessary. There are times when divorce is necessary. It's like a necessary evil. It's like the thing that you don't want to do, the thing that hurts, the thing that sucks, but you have to do it. And when someone is dealing with something that devastating, that tough, and you're telling them that they should have stayed, like, I get why you say it. I get why people are like, you will just try to work it out. You don't think that you want to work it out? But when someone has come to the turn, like they have sat in that thing, they have cried in that thing, they have processed that thing, and now they've gotten the courage to announce that thing, to say, I am leaving. I'm done. Finito. This marriage is over. When you treat them like they are the worst thing ever because they made that decision, or that the rejection that you get from saints sometimes when it comes to divorce is astounding. So someone asked me, they said, my friend is going through a divorce and it was absolutely necessary. She had been emotionally and psychologically abused for years. And every time she went to the church, every time that she discussed it with the church, they would, do the typical, like, let's pray through it, let's have counseling, and it never got better. And so she kept trying, she kept doing everything that she could. So she finally got to the point where she was like, I'm done with it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm done with it. But since she made the decision to be done with it, she's getting pushback. Everyone's treating her like she didn't have a right, or she didn't have a right, or she shouldn't be doing that. So this is what the message said, so that we can know what I'm about to answer. I know that you've been growing through a divorce, and my best friend is actually going through a really tough separation right now. She is dealing with a lot of internal and external Christian guilt about going through with it. It doesn't help that her husband is a worship leader at the church. Listen to what I'm saying. She's dealing with Christian guilt about going through with the divorce, and it doesn't help that her husband is a worship leader at the church. I was wondering if you could do an upcoming episode, if you feel free to talk about it, so you can address your experience and touch on some of her experience. She says, I've been thinking about this a lot, and my friend definitely cares about what other people think, and she's a people pleaser. I know she struggles with that, but she has also been dealing with gaslighting and emotional and psychological abuse. She has reached out to their church, her husband's church, for help several times over the years, but no one seems to want to actually help. But he also works there, so you can imagine they probably don't want to slander him. and they're believing what he's saying. She has been told to pray for him and even bake him a cake. She has fought for years and worked on herself without him just to obtain his love. She just now started to see that he would not do the same for her, and there's been patterns throughout the marriage. She grows, he gaslights. He gets angry, he leaves, she fixes herself, she tries to make him happy, it makes him happy for a while, until she grows again. And then chaos ensues. So she asked me to touch on this topic. So I'm going to touch on this topic from the perspective in what she gave it to me. First, I'm going to touch on my topic. Why did I get a divorce? I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but timing is everything. So now it's time, since I'm going to discuss it. I have been through 2 divorces. My first divorce was probably should have been annulled. We were very young. And that is not an excuse. We were very young, but in our immaturity, we made the decision to get married because we were with child. My oldest daughter, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, and I did not want to be a baby mama. I actually talked about this in my latest book that became a bestseller, Amazon bestseller. But I discussed how I actually got my God encounter and how I came to the Lord. And I came to the Lord through that pregnancy because I was dismantled during that pregnancy. But I thought that getting married was going to fix it. So we both thought that getting married was going to fix the predicament that we had found ourselves in. We were trying to fix the consequence. The consequence was the pregnancy. The consequence was co-parenting, and we wanted to fix it, and we thought if we got married then we would fix it. We even started dating, and had we dated longer we would have stopped dating because we were not compatible. But you live and you learn. We got married, we rushed and got married because there was an underlying pressure that we did not need to be having sex, and we did not need to be in a relationship and have a child and not be married. And because we were religious, because we wanted to live the right way, and because we desperately thought we were doing the right thing, we got married. That marriage lasted about a year. It needed to end as soon as it started. But in California, you cannot get an annulment unless you do not have children between the two of you. So that marriage should have been annulled. That was my first marriage. I got divorced. I ran up out of there. That was a terrible marriage. I was physically abused in that marriage. He stopped doing it because I told on him with the pastor, and the shame made him stop doing it. But whenever he got angry, he would do it again. And I think that I just had a conversation with my friend. People have different levels of what they consider abuse. I'm calling it abuse because it was. If you are being choked, pushed, if someone is physically putting their hands on you to restrain you, to correct you, that is abuse. However, I know some people feel like it's not abuse because you're not getting punched and kicked. Abuse is abuse is abuse. I'm going to say that. And that's a reason to leave a marriage as well. So I left that marriage. And I was single for about 5 years. And that was great. I loved being single. I worked in the ministry. I, started writing. I started, preaching. I started doing all these things. Like, life was great. I met a man through a friend. He was a military member. I was a military member, and I fell in love. And not like a little love. I fell in love hard, over the top. I had never felt that way about anyone. My ex-husband was it for me. He was it. He was the bread and the butter and the sun and the sky, and I was head over heels. I was head over heels with the magic of it all. And to be completely honest, I'm not an emotional person. So me having all those emotions for someone, and both of us on both of our ends, us being overwhelmed with the greatness of our connection, we got married. And it did not work out. And it did not work out because my ex was a cheater. I hate saying that. God, like, I feel like I know that it's like, I just hate saying it, right? He had to deal with some things personally. And when you're married, you're two separate people. So there's things that you're going to have to work on separately in order for you guys to be a cohesive unit. And I'm one of those people where I am all about self-growth. I am going to grow. Okay, listen, baby, if you meet me 5 years from now, I am not going to be who I am today. You are going to be able to look at these videos and go, "Ooh, you are so different," because I drastically change about every 5 years. I'm going to grow. If there's nothing else that's going to happen in my life, I'm going to grow. I am going to try new things. I am going to experience new realities. I am going to grow. He is not one of those people. He's one of those people. He's a normal guy. Like, he works hard. He took care of us financially. I was a stay-at-home mom. That was beautiful. Anything I wanted, he would give me. That was great. But he could not cheat. And there's two realities to that. One of them was that spiritually, there were some things that he needed to deal with as far as his insecurities. He cheated because the women made him feel good. And then there's another part of it, that was the lifestyle that he wanted to live. He wanted what we consider to have your cake and eat it too. He wanted that. And that's okay. The problem is, Iyanla said it, Iyanla Vanzant, she said, I was in a 12-year relationship. I left that relationship because I realized that there was nothing wrong with how my husband loved me. And I chose to not accept the way that he wasn't that. And no, I didn't say that the guys were the issue. See, this is the thing. Whenever I do lives, there's always someone that's going to like troll and be dramatic. I didn't say the guys were the issue. I'm just telling you my experience. I didn't even get deep into it so I could tell you what my issue is. But since you're asking, we can go through with it. So the cheating was the reason. That's not true though. The cheating was the reason why I decided to leave. That was the reason. To answer your question, I typically don't answer questions like this, but I will, because I feel like it's a fair question. I am the common denominator in both of my failed marriages. This is true. So yes, I do have responsibility in why both of my marriages failed. Never said I didn't. If you ever talk to me personally, you'll know that I take accountability for whatever I brought into the marriage. If you paid attention to what I said about my first marriage, I said that we both made a decision to get married because we wanted to fix the condition we were in, which means I got married because I didn't want to be a baby mama. That was a bad decision. I didn't know that was a bad decision at the time that I made it, and that was a terrible decision. So I married a man that was not a good match for me because I was desperate. In my second marriage, I married a man that had cheating tendencies, and I did not pay attention to the fact that he had cheating tendencies because I had low self-esteem. And I thought all the other things were more important than him texting a few girls or him flirting. That's the truth. I didn't think that they were deal breakers. If he talked to a few girls, if he flirted, if he crossed the line, I accepted those things because I thought that they were not that big of a deal. I was like, oh, he pays bills. He's nice to me. He's sweet. My daughter loves him. This is a great guy. He comes from a great family. And I did not understand that the things that I was deciding to accept in the relationship meant that I had low self-esteem. So, but I left the marriage. We both had low self-esteem, but I left the marriage because of the cheating. When I made the decision to leave my marriage, all of the responses that I got, all of them, were to stay. I didn't ask for when I announced that I was getting a divorce, I did not ask permission from anyone whether I should get one or not. I didn't even ask because I had already prayed about it and come to terms with the fact that it was time to go. I do believe that you can work through and process through infidelity. I am a strong believer of that. I do not think that you have to leave because someone cheated. I do not. I think it's a case-by-case basis. I think that you have to pray about it. I think that you have to use your resources. And I think that you have to understand that those things can be worked through even though they're difficult. I know people that have worked through abuse as well. That the person got counseling or both people got counseling. They figured out what was happening. I know people that work through, addictions. Listen, the Lord can do anything if you give him the space. Here's the thing though. People have free will. So when you're married, it doesn't matter what intentions you have individually. If your intentions and your spouse's intentions do not line up, then you cannot move forward. And after a while, you have to make a decision whether you are going to continue to have a relationship where you guys are on two different pages, in two different libraries, in two different universes. You have to make a decision whether you're okay with your marriage being unequally yoked. Now, some people can last a really long time with that being the case, and some people cannot. I'm not here to judge anyone, and no one else should judge anyone. If you decide to leave year one because your spouse is doing too much and you can't take that, that is your capacity. Some people will stay for 15 years. To touch on the content, the question that I got, she says she's a people pleaser. She doesn't want to upset anyone. That is real. The pressure to stay married when you are in a terrible situation is real. People will tell you that you didn't try hard enough. And I don't think they tell you that to hurt your feelings. I think they tell you that because that's the only thing that they know how to tell you, because divorce and breakups of relationships are very, very difficult. So people don't really know how to respond. So they respond in a way to tell you, they essentially tell you that it's your fault. Hence, the guy that just told me that my divorces are my fault because I'm the common denominator. You get that often. When you get treated poorly, people will still tell you that it's your fault. I don't know how many times someone told me that because I've been cheated on, that it was because I wasn't a good wife. Imagine going through the worst season of your life and you're being cheated on and you're feeling insecure and you're feeling uncomfortable and you're feeling confused and you're not knowing what's going on, and someone tells you the reason why is because you probably nagged too much. You probably didn't look pretty enough. He probably just wasn't happy. You probably just need to find something. Or they'll tell you this, they'll say, well, what did that girl have? What did that girl have that you don't have that maybe he was attracted to? And you don't think that that's telling someone that that's their fault, but that's how you internalize it. That's how you internalize it. You internalize it that maybe if I was pretty enough, maybe if I smiled more, maybe if I was better, he wouldn't have cheated. He wouldn't abuse me. He wouldn't talk bad to me. He would just love me if I was better. So you internalize that. And then other people will tell you when it's time to leave, when you've talked to the Lord and the Lord said, it's time to leave, it's time to leave, it's time to leave. Other people will tell you, but why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? Don't go back and forth with this man. He could feel however he wants to feel. That's fine. You could feel how you want to feel. Everyone has an opinion. That's fine. And I honestly I don't typically even talk about the fact that I've had 2 divorces because of that, because of the reaction, because people will say, oh, well, it's just you. Okay, it's me. Okay, so what? It's me. That's why I'm doing the work that I need to do so that I don't make a decision ever again with the wrong set of values, with the wrong set of information. We're all trying to figure it out. There's no difference between me getting, thoughts do have to be challenged. There is no difference between me getting 2 divorces and people shacking up and going through 6 different relationships and sleeping in those relationships and having children in those relationships and having cars and houses in those relationships. They're all breakups. But somehow we look at divorces like, oh, because you got a divorce, then somehow, so what? It's a title. So what? It is what it is. And that's why I'm not ashamed about it. That's the only reason why I'm talking about it now, is because at first I was like, oh my God, even when I was thinking about getting this divorce, that was one of the things that the devil used against me. He said, oh my God, you're going to be divorced twice. You're only 33. That makes you trash. Oh my gosh. Listen, Pressure is difficult, and we all subscribe to it. Having social pressures, having your family broken up, having your social life broken up, losing your church because of a divorce, losing your hobbies, your favorite restaurants, those are all extremely devastating things. And most people, a lot of people will be in this situation where she's like, she really wants to leave. She really feels like she needs to leave because her husband's not doing the work. She feels like her husband's not going to ever do the work, but she feels the pressure to stay because it feels like it's too much to leave. If you are in that situation, then it's not time to leave. When it's time to leave, it don't matter what anybody says to you. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks about you. It doesn't matter what anybody's opinion is. You are going to leave because you are sure about that thing. People having their opinions isn't going to change what is necessary. People told me not to get my hair in sister locks like this when I first did it. I said, oh, that's crazy. It costs too much money. Why are you doing that? Now people are looking at my hair and they're like, ooh, girl. Because the results are there. The results. People will clap for the results, but will tell you you don't have a right through the process. How dare you go through the process? It just is what it is. When you are ready, and this is any subject of life, if you are in a relationship and you feel like, oh, I think I want to leave, but I'm not sure I want to leave, then you're not ready to leave. And that's okay. It's okay to be indifferent. It's okay to not know. You're not ready. And if you're in a marriage and you're like, oh, I'm not sure, you're not ready. Because when you're ready, it doesn't matter what your mom says. It doesn't matter what your sister says. It doesn't matter what the church says. You're going to look them right in the face and you're going to say, baby, I didn't ask permission. I'm leaving. And your opinion is uninvited. Thank you, though. It's not a habit that's being built. Here's the thing. I'm going to touch on this since I'm talking about marriage and you keep asking questions and talking about it. I do think that people do not take marriage seriously when they enter it. Marriage is a covenant between you, your spouse, and the Lord. It is a very important covenant. I hold it in high regard. Oh my God. This is the crazy thing. This is why the divorce was devastating. People get it confused. You get a divorce and all of a sudden people think that was like popcorn. That ain't popping popcorn. Those things are devastating. They are life-changing. Do you know that the average suicide comes after a marriage, divorce, a child, or a death in the family? Those are the 4 main things that cause suicide. These things are heavy. Heavy, heavy. So I don't take marriage lightly at all. I entered into the first marriage with the understanding that I was going to do it forever. Whoop, didn't work out. The second one, listen, let me tell you, this one was extremely devastating. That was supposed to be my person. Oh, I had put all my eggs in that basket. And I believed in putting all my eggs in the basket. I'm talking about all in everything. Because that was my everything. That was my relationship. That was it. And I did that with all of the knowledge that I needed to have, all of the understanding that I thought that I had to make the marriage work. It did not work. Because sometimes things don't work. There are 2 people in a marriage. If you are inside of a marriage and both people have good intentions, but you're in that thing and life gets hard and life gets tough and you are in it with someone who doesn't know how to deal with life's issues, and instead of dealing with them with you, instead of hunkering down, they choose outside sources to soothe themselves, there is nothing that I can do other than react. It is what it is. Generationally, this generation is different because 2 things can be true. We don't take marriage serious enough because we don't date seriously enough. Courting is very important. A lot of times we don't court properly. We don't date with intention. We're loosey-goosey with dating. So then we end up marrying someone that we have a great connection with, but they can't withstand. Okay, but My grandparents got married quickly. Our grandparents got married within a couple weeks. There's no formula for this to be right. Just because our grandparents lasted longer doesn't mean their marriages are better. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. This is a different generation. This is a generation that's saying, you don't get to punch me in the face and then I stay anyways. That's it. That's simple. I made a decision. You don't get to cheat on me and I stay anyways. You don't get to habitually cheat on me and I stay anyways. Especially after the marriage counseling, after the conversations, after everything. I don't have to stay. That's the difference between why some of these marriages are not lasting. I don't know if you've ever watched the show Black Love, but it's really good because they touch on topics like this all the time. They touch on, cheating. They touch on depression. They touch on all these difficult things that happen inside of a marriage. And every generation has flaws. There's not a generation that got anything right. Let's put that out there. I love history. There are some things that mathematically make more sense for the average person. Like if you do them a certain way, they work for the average person. And there's always going to be outliers. But there's not a generation that got stuff right just because they got stuff right. The past generation, when it came to marriage, divorce was a no-no. Oh no, you don't get no divorce, baby. You gonna be with him. The man or the woman could have left the whole house. They could be out philandering, flipping, flopping all over the world, and you still didn't get a divorce because it was socially unacceptable. And social pressures are real. So you didn't do it. And as a man, even if you didn't want your woman, you didn't leave because you had a responsibility to your children. Okay, you can say that that's honorable because in one situation it is honorable. That you don't want to leave your family uncovered. But if you are connected to a spouse who is dying spiritually, emotionally, and physically because of the behaviors that you have outside of the marriage, then that spouse in this generation has a right to leave. Legally and biblically. And if you're reading your Bible, it'll tell you that. Why is there so much shame in saying, I stood up for myself? I stood up for my person. I was not going to let the abuse continue. The church, I get why the church says that divorce is detestable and you shouldn't have it. I understand that. Divorce is absolutely devastating. It is absolutely terrible. Matter of fact, let's be clear. Whenever someone contacts me and they're like, I'm not sure I want to be married or not be married, or my husband is doing this or my wife is doing this, I don't ever tell people to leave their spouse. I've never in my life told people to leave their spouse. I'll tell you to leave a boyfriend. I don't care about that. But I will never tell people to leave their spouse because that is a decision that you're going to have to walk through, baby. You're going to have to walk through that by yourself. And if I tell you, I don't care what the Bible says, if I tell you it's time to leave, you're going to have to walk through that, baby. You're going to have to walk through that. And I can't walk through that with you. I had to walk through my divorce. I had to walk through the shame. I had to walk through the guilt. I had to walk through people telling me that, oh no, you have kids. How dare you? I had to walk through that. I had to walk through people telling me that I was a bad mom because I was breaking up my family. I had to walk through that. And I walked through it with my head up high because I knew that it was the right decision. So it don't matter if you think it's the wrong decision. It don't matter if you think that if the church thinks that, oh my God, how dare you, you're 33 with 2 divorces. Yep, and I am. And maybe I chose wrong. I got it wrong. So I'll take that. I got it wrong. I didn't get it right. So what? Then what? So what? We're so afraid of getting things wrong that we don't do anything at all. So what? So what? I got it wrong. I had to come to terms with the fact that who said I had to get it right? I love when people are married 60 years, 70 years. Oh my God, I love it. I sit at their feet and I say, how did you do it? Tell me about the tough times and how you pressed through. And most of it is because both people decided when we lost our baby, we pressed together. When she was depressed, I came and got her. When he was depressed, I kept trying and I came and got him. And it was just two people that continued on loving on and pressing into and soaking into self-sacrifice and putting that person above themselves constantly. When you're married to somebody and that person is your person, and like the girl said, like, she's working on herself, she's working out, like he says that he doesn't like certain things, so she's doing those things. Naturally, women are going to do that. We're going to say, oh, okay, well, you don't like her hair like that, let me fix my hair. Oh, you don't like when I dress like that, okay. You don't like when I talk to you like that, okay. Some of us are stubborn, but the average woman, we want to please you. So if I'm trying to please you and you're trying to please me, and we are trying to please each other, we're trying to outdo each other, then both of us are going to be filled whole and complete. When I am falling and I am in disarray and I can't pick myself up, if you're there to pick me up and scoop me up and say, baby, it's okay, that is great. And when you are down bad and you're coming home and you feel beat up by the world and I'm there to hug you and love on you and say, baby, it's okay, that is a great partnership. But let's not compare one generation to another, because neither one of us had it figured out. Do you know how many of the older generation will tell you to have a secret stash of money so that you can leave your husband if you need to? That didn't come from our generation. That came from the women who had nothing and no way to get out. And they started to teach their daughters that educate yourself, have a job, take care of yourself. So when that man treats you bad, you could leave. That was from the prior generation that stayed with each other for 60 and 70 years because they felt trapped. So what? So what? People are getting divorces. But we want to talk about this like it's such a bad thing. Do you know all the things that are encompassing divorces? I'm not saying it like it's light. I'm saying it because we judge people based off the fact that they're having one, based off the fact that they are going through one. And the truth is, it's the same thing like any other situation that's devastating. It's devastating. You don't get a right to volunteer your insert, your opinion into someone's devastation. Who cares if it was a short marriage, a long marriage? The marriage ending sucks. That's it. It sucks. Okay? And when we as a church decide that we have to go tell that girl, like, have you considered your kids? You don't think that girl considered her children? The children that she laid down to have, the children that she carried in her belly, the children that she nestled on her chest, the children that she takes care of every day. You don't think she thought about those children when she decided to leave? You don't think he thought about his son not having daddy in the house when he decided to leave? You don't think that man thought about how he wasn't going to get to wake up with his daughter? You don't think people thought about that? So when you open up your mouth and say, did you consider? Maybe you should consider that love is the only choice. That love is the only option. That I'm going to choose to love on you in this season while you figure it out. You ask people, well, it's a lot to get a divorce. It's a lot to break up. Did you consider the children? Did you consider that you're going to have to break up your church and your businesses? You don't think them, listen, we all grown. You don't think people sit down and think about their choices? You really think that the average person wakes up and they go, I'm going to ruin my life today. I'm going to break up my whole family because I feel like it. I am going to rip my children from their father. You think people just wake up and just, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm bored. Let me ruin my life. I'm bored today. You don't think that people think about those things? People stay for lots of different reasons. People leave for lots of different reasons, but you don't think people think about their choices? So when you insert your opinion, it hurts people. It hurts people because people have thought about what they're doing with their life. If someone has the courage to come up to you and say, I'm getting a divorce. Do you know a lot of times when people say they're getting a divorce, they go back? That's beautiful. That's amazing. It's amazing that they figured out in that separation period that it was worth it to go back and try again. And maybe they were hasty in their decision for divorce. That's beautiful. But while people are making that decision, you don't get the right, the goal, the audacity to tell them that they haven't considered their life. Maybe pray with them. Maybe pray for them. Maybe be a soft landing place. There's some choices that we have to make in life that are so hard to walk through. And as humans and as Christians, we make it even harder because we take our morals and what we think is the best thing, and then we push them on other people. Yes, we all know that divorce is devastating. I don't wish divorce on anyone. I'm not a divorce advocate. I'm not like, oh, your marriage sucks. I actually don't even believe that if you're unhappy in a marriage that you should leave. What? That's insane. So many things that you could do to fix unhappiness because it's just an emotion. But I also know that these things that are called marriages, these covenants that we have, they are not a one size fits all. There's not a one size fit all solutions. There are personalities connected to this thing. There are traumas connected to this thing. There are insecurities. There are outside influences, and everybody's marriage is absolutely different. Everybody's marriage is different. So when someone wrote me and they said, can you talk about the church and her feeling rejected and feeling too much pressure to stay married, I can't talk about that from that perspective. Because when she's ready to go, she'll go. When she has it up in her mind, it doesn't matter what anyone else says because you are going to press. It's the same thing when it's time to start your business. People gonna say you crazy. I used to really think that people never said those kind of things to people. I was like, there's no way people tell people that they're crazy for like starting a business or for leaving their spouse. No, people tell people that. They do. They really do. Like, they will be like, no, girl, you crazy. That man pay all the bills. So what? This ain't your marriage. You have to understand that people live with people. They see people. They love the people. They spend all their time with that person. They spend all their time building a family, building a community, talking to that person. They spend all their time. Even if you're close to them, you're on the outside looking in. You peeking in to their relationship. You don't see those nighttime conversations. You don't see those, rollover arguments. You don't get to see, you're not privy to the inside information. So you do not get to tell someone that they haven't considered. Did you consider? As if people, like, we're okay. I get it. We all don't know what we're doing. We're all trying to figure it out. But like, give people the benefit of the doubt that they consider their decisions in their life. Just give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, if you're watching this live, give people the benefit of the doubt that they've considered what they're doing with their life. Even if it was with loose understanding and loose morals, they've considered it. And unless you're super duper close to someone, you shouldn't even, like, sometimes we could be talking to our friends and we didn't even ask for your opinion. Like, I didn't say, what should I do? I said, this is what I'm doing. There's a thin line between warning someone about the warning signs and then telling them that they don't have a right to do whatever they've decided to do. And I feel like the church does that a lot. They'll say, oh, wait. We didn't do counseling long enough. Everybody has a different tolerance. There is no, like, please, somebody point me in the direction where the Bible says that we're supposed to stay in a marriage after the covenant has been broken. That we're supposed to stay there for a certain amount of time to figure it out. I'll wait. Where does it say that? It doesn't. I even know pastors, they'll tell you, okay, well, you do have a biblical right to leave, but maybe we should consider this, this, and this. And that's okay. That's fine. That's your biblical, your resource where you give them the availability to speak into your life. When we're talking about the church and their opinion on whether you should get married or divorced or stay with someone, a lot of times they discount your experience. People do not believe you when you say that you're being abused. I have another associate that I know, she was being abused, beat up for years. And when she told her friends, when she told her family, when she told the church, they downplayed it. Because he didn't look like an abuser. Who looks like an abuser, by the way? Who does? You think that people that murder people look like they murder people? You think people that abuse people look like they abuse people? No. They come to church, they say praise the Lord, and they sing hymnals. Then they go home and they beat their husband. They go home and they beat their children. They go home and they beat their wife. You're not going to be privy to that. You're not going to be privy to that information. So if someone comes to you and they say, I have to leave this marriage, I have to run for my life, and then you stop them and you say, have you considered your kids, or like what that's going to do to your life, or that you're going to have to change careers, or you're going to have to move? And this person is running for their life because you have no clue what they're dealing with. They're running for their life. And you're telling them, have you considered, like, your kids are going to be, they're going to come from a broken home. And I'm saying it like that, but that's not even how we say it most of the time. We say stuff like, oh, you're going through a divorce? Oh, I mean, did you guys go to counseling? I mean, did you try? I mean, what have you tried? Are you sure you want to give up? That's what we do. And then that person has to relive it over and over and over and over. They have to tell you that they've tried counseling 4 times. They have to tell you that they kept praying and they had an intercessor. They have to tell you that they've cried on the floor and prayed with their spouse over and over and it's still not working. Why do they have to tell you that? It's not your business. So if I can take anything away from what I'm saying is it's not your business. We be in everybody's business but our own. It's not your business. Marriage, divorce, having children, and a death in the family are the 4 reasons why most people commit suicide. That's it. And when we are dealing with the subject of divorce, we deal with it as shame. Like it's the shameful thing. That someone doesn't have a right to do because they didn't try hard enough. They didn't give it enough. But were you sitting there every day with them? Were you sitting there every day watching them to know had they tried? Someone made the statement that our generation don't try hard enough. How you know? How you know what we tried? How you know? How do you know? One could assume because people break up and get together, break up and get together, break up and get together. But you don't know. How do you know? How do you know what people tried? How do you know that it isn't just that our generation has loose morals in general? So we philander and we play around and we date around and we do things that we probably shouldn't do. And then when we attach ourselves to people, we don't know how to function because nobody taught us. You think that you taught us because you're our parents and you stayed. Sometimes we didn't have those conversations with our parents about what marriage is supposed to look like, what relationships are supposed to look like, what conflict resolution is supposed to look like. So we're figuring it out. And when we get it wrong, you tell us we're wrong for getting it wrong. Welp, did you teach us? Did you help us? Did you pour into us? Did you? So what? So what that man or woman is going through a divorce? You don't see, do you ever see, like, have you ever looked on somebody's Facebook and then like they're getting a divorce and you could tell because like all their posts like are like crazy. Like either they're like super duper sad or they're like, they like took all the husband or the wife off of their page. Like you could tell they are going through it. You could tell. Those people are like going through the worst season of their life and they're just trying to figure it out. And then the church goes, did you pray about that? Did I pray? Did you go talk to the pastor? Did I talk to the pastor? Listen, get out people business. I'm just going to say that. Get out people's business, okay? As the church, get out of people's business. Your business should be their soul. Is that divorce going to cause them for their soul to go to hell? Is the divorce going to cause their soul to be lost? Is it? No, it doesn't necessarily equate lost soul. Choose love. I talked about that 2 days ago. Can we choose love? Because we are so busy trying to figure stuff out and trying to figure out how people could have did things differently. And we in everybody's business but our own. I don't know not one person, not a soul that went through a divorce and is like, oh, that was the best thing I've ever done. That was amazing. Oh my God, that was great. No, the aftermath, yes, is great. Yes, I have my freedom. Yes, I'm glad I'm out of that toxic situation. Yes, I feel amazing about myself. But while you're going through it, oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's nonsense. Let people go through what they need to go through, and then you choose to love them instead of trying to figure out what they could have done better. This isn't a research project. And trust me, I do research. I have done research on marriage. I have done research on the breakdowns of marriage, how we've changed marriage over culture. I could talk to you from an intellectual perspective all day long about marriage and why we have breakdowns in marriage more now than we did in the 1900s. I could talk about that, but a lot of that has to do with culture and expectations. So don't mix the two up. The two are not the same. I'm talking about emotionally when people are going through a divorce. Don't use statistics when we're talking about emotions. Nobody cares if there's a 50% divorce rate when you're one of the 50%. You think you care? You think you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be a statistic. You're like, how do I get through this? How do I get through this terrible, devastating thing that's taking over my life? And then you have everyone else around you that tells you you don't have a right to go through that terrible, devastating thing, and it'll just be easier if you stay and work it out. But you're not in their marriage. What if the worst thing that they could possibly do is stay? Do you know how many women and men have stayed in marriages and they were just abused and beat down and broken and cussed out and talked about and belittled, and they were so worried about what other people were going to say, or they didn't want to leave their children, so they said, okay, I'm gonna stay, which is their choice. That's also their choice, and that is amazing. You stay if you want to stay. But they have been listening to other people say, you can't leave because who's going to take care of your kid? You can't leave because then you're going to leave her uncovered, and then you stay, and now you're abused, and now you're half of a man. You're half of the man you could have ever been because you are yoked up with a woman who hates you. Or you're yoked up with a man who wants to see you down bad and disgusting so that you never leave him because he has insecurity issues. Whatever the case is. But you tell people to stay because you're like, oh, staying is better. How do you know that? How do you know staying in that marriage is better? And then you justify that marriage is better than divorce because why? Because why? I don't even think most of us know. Because why? Why is it better? We know what we have to lose when we're getting a divorce. We are absolutely well aware. We're the first people that know. The people that are in the marriage are the first people that know what we have to lose. We're the first people. That's in the top of our brain. If I leave him, then this will happen. If I leave her, then this will happen. We are the first people that are well aware. We do not need you to come to us and remind us of what we are well aware of. Can you choose love, please? Can you choose love? As a church, can we promise, everyone that's watching, can we promise that when we see people that are going through breakups and going through divorces and going through transitions in their life, that we just choose love? So instead of trying to help them figure it out, instead of trying to rationalize it or to pass judgment or to say, well, maybe if she would have waited to marry, maybe if she would have went to counseling longer, maybe if he would have lived his life a little bit longer, then he wouldn't have cheated in the marriage. None of that might have been true. Those are speculations. People are where they are. So when you see people and they're going through a divorce, when you see people and they're going through these terrible transitions in their life, and we're going to call it terrible because divorce is terrible. There's good things that can come out of it, but it's terrible. When we see people going through that, we need to look at their heart's condition and at their soul and their spirit, and we need to say, How can I be of assistance to that person? How can I love on them a little bit more so that they can get through this season without feeling depressed, without feeling insecure, without feeling like they're not enough, so that they can show up their best self, so that even if they decide to go back to the marriage, they go back to the marriage knowing that this is the right decision. And if they decide to leave, they leave the marriage knowing that that was the right decision for them. But either way, I'm going to be there for them. Either way, I'm going to choose love. Either way, I'm going to be a soft landing place. Why can't we choose love, people? Why can't we choose to let people, even if the divorce is the worst decision? I had a friend, she said, I should have never divorced my husband. He was absolutely perfect. It was me. It was me. I was immature. I had bad expectations. I should have kept him. He was the best thing that ever happened to me. But she didn't find that out till after she left. She had a right to find that out. She had a right to figure out that maybe you shouldn't take certain people for granted. That was her right. We do not know what goes on in people's personal life. And I'm not saying every marriage is bad or that everyone goes through bad stuff. But what I do know is that every marriage goes through something. Every marriage goes through trauma. They go through temptation. They go through death and life changes. And there's things that are devastating. There's things that are beautiful. But every marriage goes through something. And we need to stay out of people's business. Okay? Can we choose that? Can we choose to stay out of people's business? Can we choose to keep our mouth out of people's business? Our opinions off of people's business? Because we think we're not hurting people when we say, oh, well, she should just leave him. Or she should just stay. Or we think we're not hurting people when we say that. We think we're not hurting people when we bring up things about why they should stay or why they should go. We think we're not hurting people. And you don't realize that, like, those same people that you're talking to are going home and they're battling with themselves and they're crying and they're uncomfortable and they're confused because now they have all these voices in their head when they thought that they were sure. They thought that they were okay, that they had a direction. But their mom said, their sister said, their pastor said, their friend said, their random acquaintance said that they didn't try hard enough. They didn't give it enough. They weren't enough. So maybe if they're enough, their marriage will work. Maybe if they are pretty enough, if they're smart enough, if they're strong enough, if they're rich enough, their marriage will work. Maybe they're just not enough. I didn't go to enough counseling. I didn't fix my traumas enough. Can we let people figure their life out and choose love? Love goes a long way. It goes a long way. Choosing love goes a long way. And I only am talking about this subject because I was asked to talk about this subject. I personally do not care when anybody thinks about the decisions that I have made or the mistakes that I have made in my life. And the reason I don't care is because I have healed and I have processed. I know what's true for who I was, who I am, and who I will be. I know if I've sucked in my marriages or not in my marriages. Oh, who cares? It still ain't your business. I could have 6 failed marriages. Ain't your business. Who does that hurt? Me and the people connected to me. But it's not your business. The only thing that you should be concerned of when you are in communication with people is their soul and how you can help them. How can I be of assistance while I'm in your space? How can I make your life better? How can I show you that God loves you more than you could ever imagine? And putting your mouth on people's business is not it. Putting your opinions in people's life, inserting confusion is not the way to do it. And I'm not saying you're not going to do it again. You are. You're going to do it because it's human nature. But I want you to be mindful. I want you to be mindful that people get church hurt and people get hurt from religious people just because you decided to ask a question that wasn't your business. That simple question of, did you guys go to counseling? Not your business. Why are you invested? Is it your business? I feel like we think certain things are our business because we're privy to certain information. You can, like, something can be a fact and still not be your business. Like, you have no investment in it. I remember when I was married to Anaya's father, and I changed my last name back to Tapscott. And we were in church, and there was a couple there that was like a pastor and a first lady. And she said, "Oh, hi, Miss White," our sister White. And I said, "Oh, hello." I said, "Actually, my name is Miss Tapscott now." And I could still remember the look on that lady's face. She looked at me like, "Oh, okay. Well, praise the Lord," and walked away. I remember feeling so dirty after that. And I'm not saying that she meant to do that. I'm not saying that she meant to have that disposition with me. Maybe it was shock. Maybe she was confused. But the look on her face was like, what? Yuck. So sorry for you. As if I had done this dirty thing. Guys, please choose love. Please choose love. Please, let that be your only option. Let love be your only option. Let's not be about other people's business. Let your business be your business. Let the Lord's business be your business. And then if you hear that someone's going through a divorce, you should say, "How are you doing? How are you? Are you okay with that? Are you okay? Do you need anything? How can I be of assistance to you? I know this is a tough season." That's it. I love you guys. This is the last live because I don't want to talk no more. I hope you guys have an amazing day.